When Mew VMAX and the Mew Genesect Fusion Strike deck debuted in the Fusion Strike set late last year, it absolutely dominated the meta. It seemed like an absolutely invincible deck that had all of the answers for every single match, even playing against dark type decks. It could kind of still weasel its way out of a lot of different situations. And for months, it stayed as the top deck in the game. And now we're kind of in a weird spot where we're looking at Mew VMAX. It's slipped in power level, still a strong deck, but it's gotten to the point of people saying like, hey, is this top tier anymore? Is this going to make a splash at Worlds? Maybe, maybe not. If you're watching this after the fact, you already know the answer. And there's another card that is on the way out soon that specifically made to destroy Mew VMAX, and I actually had it pulled up here, and now I don't. But the new upcoming Drapion V, and I know I can't read Japanese here. I'll pull it up for everyone to see here. But this new Drapion V is absolutely crazy. It has the ability Wild Style, where its move cost is one less for each Fusion Strike, Rapid Strike, or Single Strike Pokemon in play. This is here just so every other deck has a one card tech to murder Mew VMAX in one go. As if Mew was already not on hard times as is, the fact that almost every other deck in the game can just slip this into their deck and get 3 prizes off of Mew VMAX. And I think and it's specifically Mew VMAX, because there aren't Shadow Rider is not really impacted by this because it's neither Fusion Strike, Single Strike, or Rapid Strike. It's really bad. And it got me thinking about, like, is Mew VMAX done? And I think is it still strong right now? Yes. Is it like really the deck to beat at this point in time? I don't think so. I would be much more concerned about teching for Palkia to the limited extent that you can. Palkia doesn't necessarily have any surefire counters to it unless you're building an entire deck to counter it. And even then, Palkia can just kind of get the upper hand on you. Arceus is tough to counter as well. But people are still have their focus on those 2 archetypes, and they're teching against that. Not as many people are teching against Mew. And I think the question for Mew is there enough people that are going to tech this Drapion V card to stop others from playing Mew entirely? And right now, I don't know. I don't know. If Drapion V does become a popular include, Mew VMAX is done. If it doesn't become a popular include, which I can see it not being, because Mew is just not as popular as it used to be, which then makes people feel like they're less inclined to put this card into their deck, that I think Mew can probably coast for the foreseeable future as a very strong deck. But I don't think it will ever be a top. Well, I guess it's probably a little too hyperbolic to say it'll never be a top tier deck again. The Pokemon Company could add some other Fusion Strike Pokemon that could possibly, change the way the deck is played. Maybe there's a Mew V Star on the way, and that still works with all this other stuff, and that could dramatically change where this deck sits. But I guess if it's a Mew V Star versus Mew VMAX, then it's a completely different discussion. But are we writing this deck off for dead a little too soon? I think maybe a little bit. I think it's still on the fringes of being a very strong deck. If you already have the deck, I think that you'll probably do fine. On today's stream, we did win more than we lost. We had a bit of a streak going there too, and I think that with people not as concerned about teching for Mew, it does give you the opportunity to catch some decks by surprise. Mew can still beat some of the big decks in the game. It can beat Palkia. It's tough, but it can. It can beat Arceus. It's gonna kind of suck against the dark decks, but I think you kind of still have the tools to stay in most fights, assuming there isn't any other drastic meta shift changes in the near future. So if you've already got the cards, I think it's fine to keep playing with this deck and you'll probably do fine. If you're looking at it like, man, I want to build a Mew deck right now, and especially considering how much it costs to trade for Mew, you're looking at, what is it? Yeah, 20 packs for a Mew VMAX, and it's still going to cost a lot to build a Mew VMAX deck from scratch. I'd say maybe not. Maybe not invest your packs into building a Mew VMAX. I would probably look at using those packs to trade for an Arceus or a Palkia instead. But if you've already got the Mew deck, yeah, keep on rocking. So, I think that's... Oh, and Hyper has a point in... Actually, let me catch up on the chat here. King Drago says, Drape will definitely be a counter to Mew, but might not be as popular because it's too specific. I agree, and I do think that if it may not be a big enough include for most people that Mew can continue to skate by even with that threat in play. And Hyper says, we think we may see more V-Star Aerodactyl. And that's funny because that has... Let's pull up Aerodactyl V-Star. I don't know if they have the... Yeah, Aerodactyl V-Star. I don't think we have an English version of it, but it has the ability Ancient Star. So long as this is in play, it gains an ability with the effect your opponent's Pokemon V, excluding Aerodactyl V-Star, have no abilities. And this not only shuts off the Genesects, but it shuts off a whole bunch of other cards in the game, making it a very powerful include that Mew kind of catches the strays on there as well. So that's going to be a problem. And let me just double check that I read that correctly. Yeah, Pokemon V. So yeah, Mew would be burned by that too. And Confused 24/7 says, I just started to learn how to play. Picked up a Rapid Strike Urshifu battle deck and an Ice Rider Calyrex battle deck. Mew VMAX is a deck you've been considering building. Interesting. Interesting. We'll pick that up in a second, but I do want to wrap up this portion of the conversation here for the video. Is Mew VMAX dead? No. If you've got the cards, I think you'll be okay, and it's still a fun deck to play, and you will get a bunch of wins here and there. Would I hitch my tournament hopes to a Mew VMAX deck or try and build a Mew VMAX deck from scratch? Maybe not, but that's just me. Let me know in the chat in the comments where you stand on Mew VMAX, and I'll see you later.